This DFS edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Thursday, October the 13th. And as we've been doing the last few days in the playoffs, we are here to knock out a DFS lineup for the two games for this evening, the NLDS games on October the 13th, Thursday. And joining me, my partner, Mr. Noah Bennick. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Malcolm. Doing pretty well myself. And last night, took down the SGPN contest that we run for the MLB DFS. So that was fun. And then I was 201st out of 1,600 for a nice cash. So that's 2 straight days for me. How'd you do?
We did all right, didn't we? Cashed. I think I finished 500 and something out of 3,500. So I doubled my stake, which is okay. You take that every day, wouldn't you? Yeah. We were just comparing our lineups, actually. I scored 101.6 points, and you scored 101.75. I actually forgot to enter the SGP contest, so I'd have been furious if you beat me by 1.25 points. So, yeah, I was close on Tuesday. You cashed, and then we both cashed yesterday. So, yeah, we did all right. I think the play yesterday, or my play particularly, was I'm just laughing because I've just glanced at the screen and I see Terrell Furman's name and the word nerds in capital letters. It caught me off guard and made me laugh out loud. Hi, Terrell. How are you? Me and Terrell became acquainted in Vegas. I felt really bad because on the last afternoon, Terrell stored his stuff in my hotel room because he had to catch his flight and he'd checked out of his hotel. And I wasn't expecting him to, and I felt really bad because my hotel room was an absolute pigsty. And Terrell's a military man, and I thought, he's going to judge me so hard here. I mean, there was fucking Cheez-Its everywhere, underpants. Like, it was like I'd been burgled. It was like downtown Baghdad in my hotel room. So apologies for that, Terrell, but he was very polite. He didn't complain too much. Captain Insano's joined us as well. What we talked about, Kyle Wright, well, I think was the pick of the day, certainly for me anyway. He was the cheapest pitcher on the board. And
if there's one pitcher that could blow up, it's Kyle Wright.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was lights out.
He was mainly responsible for getting me into the money. I had a couple of home runs in there. It was my big tickets that hit, actually, Trey Turner and Manny Machado, and obviously Travis d'Arnaud, who we were right in the hand with. But I think you had 3 homers in your lineup as well. So if you'd got Kyle Wright in there, you might have been a few quid better off now.
I was looking at it yesterday, and I was like, Kyle Wright was really the only player that was off my lineup, keeping me away from like a big lineup. But yeah, like you mentioned, 3 bombs. I had Freeman, Machado, and Turner. So just like you, honestly, we just kind of switched out Freeman and Wright. So lineups kind of ended up at the same at the end anyway. So it was a good day for both of us.
The games yesterday, they weren't as mad as the last few nights have been, but they were still pretty tense. I think we handicapped the Braves and the Phillies really well. Obviously, my whole handicap was centered around the tea time shadows in Atlanta, and then the game got delayed by 7 hours, which really ruined the rest of my day because I'd planned everything around getting in the bath and watching the game, and then just got ready and got everything set and checked, and it was obviously in a huge weather delay. But the under in the first 500 came through anyways, and then the Padres hung with the Dodgers. Munaf, at least Munaf, I can't remember who else. Did you have them up as a dog as well, Noah?
The Padres? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't brave enough. I took them on the run line.
Almost every game here.
Yeah. I took them on the run line, but -130 would still cast. So, yeah, we've been chugging along okay here on the MLB Gambling Podcast in the playoffs. So, what we've got tonight is 2 games. ALDS Game 2. 3:37 Eastern is the Mariners at the Astros. and 7:37 Eastern are the Guardians and the Yankees. So our lineups will be coming from that. Our headline sponsor here, anything that we do throughout, if you want to go and have a little look, get across to WinBet. It's the perfect time to join. If you bet $100, you'll get a $100 free bet there. The casino is open 24 hours a day. You'll get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. And the WinBet Biggest Winners Club hit the biggest parlay of the weekend, odds-wise. Someone turned $6,000 into $4,000 and won that free $1,000 bet. Loads to choose from. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change. T's and C's at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough winbet is available. If you are someone who knows a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Okay, then. We'll get stuck straight into it. Starting pitchers. Noah, you can lead us off. Give us both of them. Who have you got?
Well, I think most of the pitchers are pretty even on this slate, kind of like how we viewed it somewhat yesterday. I went with the two cheapest options. I went Nestor Cortez Jr. at 7.5K. He's pitched 12.1 innings, only given up 3 earned runs with a 2.23 ERA and 2 starts against the Guardians. He has 6 and 8 strikeouts in those 2 starts. And then I think this one's just priced wrong. At 7.2K, your cheapest option is the guy that's pitched the most postseason games so far this year, and Luis Castillo at 7.2. Cheapest option shot on the board. Postseason experience now. He has 26 and 29 points in those 2 starts. Plus, I said it on yesterday's podcast for the picks, I lean Mariners to win this one. So I think he's got a chance to put up a decent amount of points as the lowest, as the cheapest option here.
Okay, well, this is good for the show because I disagree completely with Luis Castillo. My only feel for these 4 pitches was that I didn't want anything to do with Luis Castillo. He was my fade. So I'm stacking Houston against him. I just don't trust him on the road. I know he's gone okay in a couple of starts, but they're the outliers. I think Houston can smash him up today. So I ruled him out, which meant I was taking any 2 from 3. So I went for the 2 homers in there. I took out the top pitcher and the bottom pitcher, and I've taken Framber Valdez and Nestor Cortez, 2 teams that I think will win. I'll get those W's under my belt. You're right, there wasn't much between them in terms of fantasy points per game, but I didn't want Castillo on the road. So at that point, I was happy to take the 2 home pitchers as my system. So instant disagreement
to back
there.
You up there, I was like, the way that first game ended, that could have been a 3-game sweep and 1 home run type kind of moment. So that was what I said on the podcast, but I still like, if that didn't happen, I'd still be leaning the Mariners to win the second game here.
Okay, so let's move on to your catcher, Noah.
My catcher is the big dumper, aka Cal Raleigh, 3.7K. He's 5 for 12 with 4 RBIs, 4 runs scored, and a home run in 3 postseason games so far. I think this guy has really stepped up in Mitch Haniger's absence, and honestly Ty France's absence as well. Without this guy, I don't think Seattle would be where they're at right now.
No, I agree with you. I have also got Cal Raleigh in there. He's turned into one of the best offensive catchers in baseball, actually. He came from absolutely nowhere to be fantasy relevant, and he's going to be high up on the boards next season, certainly when draft time comes around. I mean, there's an absolute dearth of alternatives at a similar price. You've got Christian Vasquez, and then the rest of it's all much of a muchness. So I had plenty of money left. I had loads of money left when I'd finished building this lineup, actually. But Cal Raleigh, although I'm taking on one of my own pitchers, we talked about that. You have to do that occasionally. So Cal Raleigh seemed by far the most sensible option. So I agree with you. First base, Noah.
Unlike Malcolm, I used every penny of my salary. So this one is a little bit of a punt in my part. I have Yulieski Gurriel, the cheapest first base option. He's 2.4K. The contact lord was 1 for 3 last game with a home run. And honestly, if he's going well and shows a little bit of a power source, like this guy could like be a total value at 2.4K. I don't expect him to hit home runs every game because that's not the way he plays. But just give me a couple of hits the other way, and I'm satisfied with 2.4K.
Yeah, fair enough. I went big ticket first, big
Okay.
ticket.
I know where you're going.
With Anthony Rizzo is the answer.
That was my honorable mention. I had him in, but I had to move him out.
Went 1 for 4, but that was with a 2 RBI home run in his last game. He's got 33 home runs on the season. A couple in his last 10 games. He hit that one. Was it Rizzo hit that one off the top of the wall? Who was that?
No, that was Donaldson.
Oh, okay. All right, I can't claim that then. But yeah, Rizzo, the other first baseman to say Ty France is flattering to deceive a little bit. We've been burned once by Josh Naylor. Cleveland just aren't hitting it all. So Gurriel's a decent play if you wanted to save a few quid, but I was happy to spend up here at first base. Second baseman, Noah.
Second base, this starts a run of players that, I hate to associate myself with. But we're going with Gleyber Torres at 4.8K, the first of a few Yankees for me. 3 for 6, batting .500 against Shane Bieber with a tater in 2 singles. He was 0 for 3 in game 1. I think he gets on the board today in game 2.
Okay, well, I went the other way. I stacked Astros. A lot of Astros you'll see from this point. In my second baseman is Jose Altuve. Been absolutely unbelievable this season. Didn't have a hit in this first game of this series, although has been going along absolutely beautifully recently. So we're averaging 313 in his last 10 games. So yeah, I expect Altuve to join the party at some point. Like I say, I'm fading Castillo, and Altuve is one of the men who'll be able to get to him. So Altuve at 5,500, Noah, onto your third baseman.
My third baseman's the guy that we hinted at earlier. It's Josh Donaldson. He's 4.3K, 3 for 10 with a single and 2 balls that he brought the rain on against Shane Bieber. Like we mentioned earlier, he hit the top of the wall. I mean, just 2 feet further. That's over the short porch, and another home run for this guy. But he's making great contact in game 1. If Josh Donaldson's doing that and he's not striking out, I kind of view him as a Nicholas Castellanos. When he's hot, he's hot. So stay hot, Josh.
Yeah, so my third baseman was another hot player, and it was Eugenio, if I pronounce that correctly. Suarez, $3,800. 2 for 4 in that last game. He's had a few dingers, hasn't he? I think he did okay against the New York Mets. He's been looking lively in the playoffs so far. Again, had to pivot away from entirely Houston Astros. Didn't really want to get involved with the Cleveland Guardians. So Suarez for me, just to carry on his good form at $3,800, hitting 7.7 fantasy points per game, which is plenty for me. So shortstop, Noah.
Do you mean Mets or Blue Jays? I'm just gonna help you out here.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah,
okay.
You with me?
Shortstop, I'm going Ahmed Rosario at 4K. He's 2 for 3 in his career against Nestor Cortez with a single and a home run. I needed one Guardian. It was hard to find good PVB against Cortez because he dealt both times he played against them, and a lot of these guys do not have great numbers. So 4K, give me Ahmed Rosario for Cleveland.
Okay, Captain Insano in the chat mentioning Marvin Gonzalez as a possible pivot with good numbers against Shane Bieber. So we'll be checking the starting lineup. Say I've got plenty of money left. Not that I'll need it to pick Marvin Gonzalez up, but yeah, that's good information from the captain. Shortstop, I'm back to my Astros. Got to keep going with my stack here, and it's Jeremy Pena at $3,800. Not an awful lot of power. He's got middling power, I suppose. He's at 22 homers on the season, 3 in his last 10 games. Went 1 for 5 in that last game. Can steal you a base as well. Stole 11 bags across the season this year. And those little, if you can pick up 5 points for a stolen bag, that can so very often be the difference. So give me Pena at 3,800. Like I say, hitting 333 recently, which is plenty good enough. We get onto our outfielders in a moment once I've told you about Fubo TV. Fubo TV will give you complete coverage of college and pro football, including NFL Red Zone, all in 4K at no extra charge. There's loads of channels of sports and entertainment on there. No contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time. try Fubo TV free for 7 days. Get 15% off your first month. Go to FuboTV.com/SGP. That's FUBOTV.com/SGP. And Odds Trader. Odds Trader is a place to compare odds from all major sports books and compare the different sign-up codes and promos as well, so you get the best value for your money. Once you've done that, the app will provide things like player stats, key game stats, injury reports, game day weather, and the all-important bet tracker, so you can keep ahead of yourself and know whether you're coming or going. All of that can be found at oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Odds Trader is the #1 site for all of your game day bets. Okay, into the good stuff now. Noah, you must have some money left here. You must have some Escalades thrown out in the outfield, have you?
I do. Starting it off with the kid, Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod Show, 5.6K. He has 25 points, or he had 25 points in game 1 against Houston with a double, a triple, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. The kid's star is just getting brighter on national television. He's done pretty well just the no playoff experience prior to this season. He had a slow start in Toronto, but that first game against Justin Verlander for 2 of those shots and then into the Astros bullpen really impressed me. So I'm rostering J-Rod.
Yeah, he's been really good. He's really easy to root for as well. Plays the game with a smile on his face. Looks like lots of fun, and we'll be seeing a lot of him over the next 10 years or so. He's got a long shelf life ahead of him. He's been great this season. Really enjoyed him. I didn't manage to get him in my team today. I could only start with Jordan Alvarez in the outfield. 5,400. I'm an absolute huge fan. Bit of a fanboy of Jordan Alvarez. He looks locked in. I think the off days, we've mentioned this probably 3 times now over this base of the last week, but the off days are helping him because he's got this hand issue, which he needs a rest for. And it was kind of the same all the way through September. But with these off days being factored in, he's been really good. And he just looked locked. Every time he came to the plate the other night, you just had a feeling. And he hit the ball so hard 3 times. So one came off the wall, one he drilled opposite field, and then you had the clutch home run. Absolutely magnificent. So I could not get Jordan Alvarez into this side at $5,400, Noah. 2 left. Who you got?
We're done at 5.4, and I think he's done pretty well. I'll just read off my notes that I have here. I think, first off, he's going to be a little bit of a public play after that walk-off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do you not take him? And Jordan at this price just seems low. When he's healthy and hitting well, he's usually around 6K. He put up 32 points at 5.2K in game 1. They only moved him up $200. Give me Jordan again.
Yeah, Jordan might not be the pick that wins you a competition,
no,
but he certainly could be the pick that loses you one if you don't put him in there. So let's say my 2 picks are the kind of picks that will you a contest here. My second outfielder is going to be Trey Mancini. Mancini? We go to Italian? Or?
They just announced their lineup. He is not in the starting lineup anymore.
Right, well, that is causing me a problem right now. Hang on, let me call an audible here.
Mike Myers are in for Mancini and Chas McCormick. Just came out 2 minutes ago.
Okay, so now this was part of the bonus. I had loads of money left, so I'm looking at the lineup now. I've got $4,500 to spend. Stephen Kwan, I don't want any part of. Mitch Haniger's an option, although I've already got one Mariner in there.
In the postseason too.
Yeah. So it all gets a little bit ugly after that.
That's why I went all Escalades in the outfield, like you mentioned.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you my next one while I'm looking. Hot hand. We talked about this player being possibly going on a tear because the Yankees signed him at the trade deadline. Didn't get much out of him for 1 or 2 reasons. And then he came good and hit a home run the other night. Harrison Bader. $2,900. Hit that home run, and I do like him as a player. I've had him on quite a lot of fantasy teams in the last couple of years. He's quite a fun player, does bits and bobs in the outfield, but he's very capable of hitting a home run, and he's very capable of going on a streak as well. And at that price, $2,900, I thought it was an excellent pick. Yeah, so give me Bader in there. Who's your final play, Noah?
very capable of stealing you a bag as well. So
Huge, yeah.
Bader's easy to root for because he is kind of a hometown kid over there in the Bronx. And I don't know if you saw the post game, but they were like asking him, "So how much did this home run mean to you?" And he's like, "Honestly, this is the first time I've kind of thought about it. It kind of means something to my parents, and my grandfather was a really big Yankees fan. But for me, I just want to win the next game." I was like, "Oh, all right, that's pretty cool."
That's stupid. The Yankee commentator who either sings a little song or always has a little something to say.
John Sterling.
Yeah, well, he sang that "I'm so mad about Harry," and me and Bob have been singing that ever since. We watched the highlight. Bob came and sat with me when we were watching the highlights the other morning, and we've been singing that at each other for the last 36 hours, just giggling away like a couple of kids. Well, he is a kid.
I saw that on Twitter too, like Wild or mad about Harry, and it was
yeah.
Somebody posted the clip that it was from. It's from like a Donald Duck cartoon from like 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, me and Bob have been giggling at each other, singing that around the house for the last 2 days.
I'll see if I can find it, and then I can send it to you.
He'd like that.
For my last outfielder, 5.1K, another guy that could provide a bomb at any time he makes contact with the ball, Giancarlo Stanton. The same reasoning that I'm taking him here today is the reasoning that you used in game one. I feel like he's just bound to do something in this series, and then when he hits the ball, it's going to be a frozen rope wherever, and it has a chance to leave the yard every time he makes contact. I'd like to see him a little bit higher in the lineup than fifth, but we'll see what happens here with that Yankees lineup in a few minutes. But I like Giancarlo Stanton at 5.1K. He seemed like one of the better options because as you were looking, it just kind of gets into a little bit of a no man's land after 5K in the outfield. Yeah,
so I mean, I might call another audible here on mine. I've stuck Stephen Kwan in for the meantime. There's not many alternatives in there, but actually the stolen base thing is always live with Stephen Kwan. He's actually hitting 285 against lefties. And you got, is this the Nestor Cortez game? Yeah. It is, yeah. Yeah, so Kwan's got a chance. He's another contact machine. You mentioned that early on about Yuli Gurriel. So yeah, I'll stick Stephen Kwan in, but I might have a little look when the lineups come out and see if I can find something else. He doesn't necessarily blow my skirt up, but equally, it doesn't really put me off either putting him in there. No.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it kind of funny that both like contact lords that were playing hit a home run in game one?
Yeah, absolutely. Rarely. So yeah, I'm not expecting another one, but a couple of singles, a walk, and a little stolen base, getting double figure points for me.
So just for the listeners that have listened to both episodes, this is like my least confident of the three lineups that I've given out, but I'm really depending on these Yankees. I don't like a Yankees stack at all because I think it's one, public, and two, I'm not a huge fan of the team, and I actually want the Guardians to win the series, but I think it's a nice matchup for them going up against Bieber that they've seen and hit pretty well in their careers. So
I'm probably way too confident about mine because I absolutely love my angle of fading Castillo, and I haven't read or heard or seen many other people that think the same as me because he was absolutely outstanding last time. But it was when we handicapped that game, even though he pitched before I handicapped that game, there was just loads of red flags about his road form. And then he went and pitched really well. But I'm going to stick with my handicapping of that game. If I'm wrong again, then I may have to revisit it and we'll do something about it. But because I'm confident about that, I'm then confident about this lineup because I've got all the Astros in there. So yeah, almost certainly misplaced confidence, but what the hell?
Let's review the lineups and then talk about your cards because you weren't on the ALDS pod yesterday.
Yeah, so my full lineup is Framber Valdez, Nestor Cortez, then Cal Raleigh, Anthony Rizzo, Jose Altuve, Eugenio Suarez, Jeremy Pena, Jordan Alvarez, Trey Mancini is not in it. Stephen Kwan, he's not bleeding replaced, he hasn't updated, and Harrison Bader.
Yeah, I saw the tweet from JP Morosi. He's a pretty reliable big J. So I'm going to go with that. Sorry if he does play, but I believe he's sitting out today. Luis Castillo for me is SP1. SP2 is Nestor Cortez Jr. Catcher Cal Raleigh, or Big Dumper. Yuli Gurriel at first base. Gleyber Torres at second base. Josh Donaldson at third base. Ahmed Rosario at shortstop. Yordan Alvarez in the outfield. J-Rod Show in the outfield. And Giancarlo Stanton in my outfield. Malcolm, like I mentioned, you weren't on the ALDS Game 2 pod, so what kind of bets are you playing today?
Let me just drag them up. Really tight. It was quite tricky for me. I don't think you can get away from the Padres again.
The Padres?
Hang on, let me...
ALDS.
Where are we looking today?
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, my book is so bad. That's because I've just been I've been handicapping Tony Gonsolin and Blake Snell. Yeah. So for today, I fetched out an incredible underdog, which was plus 850, which was there's going to be exactly 6 runs in the Guardians and Yankees game. What do you think of that?
I think I love all of these wild exotics that you find over there.
So that was one. And I'm trying to think what my other one was now. 2-6. There's just too much. There's too much going on now.
I didn't like the slate either. I only have 3 plays, or I added a 4th one mid-pod. But I have Framber Valdez over 5.5 strikeouts. I have Nestor Cortez Jr. over 3.5 strikeouts.
Oh, I've got some more breaking news.
Oh, what's your breaking news?
The Guardians and Yankees has been called off.
Oh, really?
Which means this entire 27 minutes has been a big waste of everybody's time. Inclement weather, makeup on... Yeah, Terrell's there now. Fucking hell, Terrell. You're too late, man. What's wrong with you?
All right, let's turn this thing into a showdown real quick.
I think we just knock it on the end. So we did just hear Terrell. Houston first 5. Obviously, it stands to reason I'm fading Castillo. So Houston first 5 was going to be my pick here. I think Houston will get to them early and often.
So I had 3 plays in that Yankees Guardians game. Now I only have 1 for the whole day, and that's Framber Valdez over 5.5 strikeouts.
Terrell's claiming that we have to replace all those players. I can't just replace them live, Terrell, because it's a different kind of format, and I refuse to press all the buttons. What I'm going to do is I'm going to thank everyone for joining us, and I'm going to slowly tiptoe out the door as if I was never here. Okay. So thanks, Captain Sado. The buffoons calls up. Thanks, Terrell. You're about 28 minutes too late with that information, but not to worry. We might pick a showdown lineup, and in fact, we probably won't even publish this show. Let's be honest, Noah. It's an absolute waste of time. I mean, it's going to be between the 4 of us. So, dearie me. What can you do?
This is like an all-time freezing cold take.
All-time, no.
Record the episode, and then when you get 4 minutes away from finishing it up, the news comes out that the game's been postponed.
Let's just me and Noah and Terrell and Captain Sano. Let's all pretend this never happened.
And goes buffoons.
Buffoons. Right. Okay. Well, thanks for trying to join us, Noah. Thanks for trying to pick a lineup. We'll be back later on, and we'll probably see you down the road. Cheers.
Yeah, there might be 3 games for tonight's episode.